Hello everybody and welcome back to a new YouTube video of mine. This is a different setting, a new setting. I hope you do like the setting. This has been a thing under the works as such. Finally, I am back with a new video talking about again our favorite thing, cars. Today we are going to be talking about why hybrid cars are really important, especially for a country like India, because that just might be the key to having a great transition over to renewable and sustainable sources and even to electric cars as such. And that really highlights why hybrid cars might just be the solution going forward. So, getting into it straight away, what are hybrid cars? Hybrid cars are basically an amalgamation of ICE engines, internal combustion engines, which can be powered by petrol or diesel, along with an electric battery, an electric powertrain as such. And ultimately, it is these two motors as such which work together in tandem to either give you greater fuel efficiency, to give you greater performance too in some cases, and to give you a generally better experience too, while also delivering on lower emissions as such, and ultimately helping the world becoming a greener place, as every other company says in their keynote presentation. So this is the gist of hybrid vehicles, but there's a lot more into it. There are essentially three types of hybrid vehicles. First, we have mild hybrid electric vehicles. The most common example would be the system which Maruti Suzuki had implemented in their cars, such as the Ertiga and even the Swift Desire, where basically there was a small electric motor along with the normal engines as such, which ultimately allow the cars to save fuel, especially while starting up, and also in just normal commutes as such, where the electric motor as such would enable greater fuel efficiency and would save on the fuel as such which is used to require while starting up the car, for example. So the best case example would be this, and these systems are just mildly expensive compared to their normal ICE counterparts, which is what makes them great as such. And in the beginning, they also used to carry a lot of FAME scheme benefits which are provided by the government of India. So that also made for a great buy as such from a lot of consumers, and they are also easy to maintain. Now, moving on to the other type, that is hybrid electric vehicles. Now, hybrid electric vehicles are essentially the purest form of hybrid cars as such, because you have your normal electric motor, which is quite big as such, especially in its capacity, in the power it generates, in the torque it generates, which is provided in tandem with another ICE engine as such. It could be petrol or diesel. Most often we do see petrol engines, but it could be a diesel engine too. And essentially, the thing which happens here is that ultimately the electric motor and the ICE motor as such, as I mentioned earlier, they work together in tandem. And this is done through the ECU as such and the advanced electronics which are there, where the car basically works to make sure that you get the greatest efficiency, to get even instant power, because due to the electric motor being present, you can actually get better power delivery too, especially in the early acceleration. So even that could be made possible too. And this is basically why hybrid cars are actually a great balance between electric cars and ICE vehicles as such. Now, there is also one more type which may be of interest to a lot of you as such. That is plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. Now, they are essentially hybrid electric vehicles only, but they have a larger battery capacity where you can actually use the car only on battery power for a short range as such, around 10 to 50 miles. And that really enables you to actually use electric power consistently and make sure that you can actually drive even more sustainably. And then of course there is the option of using a normal engine, which makes sure that you are actually being actually able to commute and travel to as many places as possible. And that is the real gist of hybrid vehicles as such. Now let's get into the benefits of benefits and even some cons related to hybrid electric vehicles. Now, the big question is that with 50% of the employment and 50% of the revenue and 60% of the employment of the whole car industry actually coming from the manufacturing of ICE engine components and all the other associated activities, the fact is it really sustainable for the industry as such to actually completely transition to electric vehicles? Because the fact is that electric vehicles use about 80% fewer components, and that can really damage the employment possibilities in the industry, at least in the short to medium term, and overall cause a huge damage to the entire industry, especially in India, where there is still a lack of skilled workers as such. And that is why hybrid cars may just be the right solution, because it offers an integration of the two and ultimately could be a great way to transition into fully electric vehicles as such. Now, there are three main benefits which I have come up with for your hybrid electric vehicles. First, they deliver lower emissions. Now, lower emissions in the sense that because they have electric vehicles, they are also partly electric vehicles. So they can basically pollute less, especially when you are traveling in city commutes. That is where you actually get the main benefit out of hybrid vehicles as such, because you are able to pollute less, make sure that the cars are environmentally friendly too. And this is again done based on the basis of using as less engine power as possible. And in case of plug-in hybrid vehicles, no use of ICE engines as such. Then another benefit is that hybrid electric vehicles are also important in the sense that they are again cheaper in price. They are more accessible to consumers, especially things like mild hybrid electric vehicles or even hybrid and plug-in hybrid vehicles. While they are a step up in the pricing range as such, they are not as expensive as electric vehicles and actually are more attainable. The best example being the recently launched Honda City Hybrid, which actually can deliver in the market, especially if it is priced near the actual ICE engine counterpart itself. And that can really help bring in more awareness about what are hybrid cars and what are the benefits of hybrid engines or using hybrid technology, not just for consumers but even for the companies, and make sure that they are trying newer technology in a vast market like India. Now, they are also more easier to maintain, they are cheaper to maintain, especially in the sense that they are not just lower on prices. They of course are, because there is again an amalgamation of petrol and ICE engines, and that makes for easier application of the technology. But at the same time, they can be accessed by more centers, because the fact is electric vehicles are still not being sold by all the dealerships of all the throughout the country as such. If you go to a smaller city, you will still not be able to buy an electric car right away from that dealer. You will actually have to wait for a longer while as the dealer contacts other dealers, and that can really cause a lot of problems. Whereas hybrid cars at least will be a bit more accessible, although the same problem may apply, but still they are much more accessible and easily serviceable too. So the fact is that ultimately we all know that electric cars are going to be our future. But to allow for an easier transition into the future, hybrid cars may just be the key, as having complete reliance on electric vehicles might just cause a huge shock to the industry, and that might not be sustainable for the Indian economy as such, as automobile manufacturers contribute a huge proportion, especially in terms of employment. And that is why hybrid cars may just be the key to satisfying all key stakeholders, whether it is the government, the consumers, the companies, or the employees. Might just be the perfect solution to transition into an electric era. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you do like the insights which I shared, and I will be back with a new video very soon.